This is I can't stop.
History TV, History March.
I can't stop me, man.
Supported by
Fanta?
Osprey Publishing. In the autumn of 1807, French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte
Why not Dota?
dominated Europe.
Only non-sub
He had
stock like
humbled
this.
Austria and Prussia and sealed an alliance with Russia. Of the major powers, only Britain still defied him, safe from invasion thanks to its powerful navy. Napoleon had ordered all territory controlled by France or its allies to stop trading with Britain, the so-called Continental System, or blockade, designed to wreck Britain's economy and force its government to make peace. But neutral Portugal had continued to trade with its historic ally, Britain. So Napoleon sent an army under General Junot to occupy the country and force it into line. The invasion was supported by France's ally, Spain, though privately, Napoleon held Spain's rulers in contempt. The Bourbon royal family was decadent and corrupt. The king and crown prince loathed each other, while the country was effectively run by Chief Minister Manuel Godoy, the Queen's lover. Spain.
That is cocking on a whole nother level. The Queen's lover runs your country.
Napoleon concluded was backwards, militarily weak and incompetently governed, and he devised a plan to seize control of the country.
Spaniards, after long agony your nation was perishing. I have seen your pain and I'm bringing you a remedy. So chat is kind of spoiling that Spain is going to be bad. Something really bad is about to happen. And I still don't know how. This all feels okay. Spain has no army, they can't do anything. How can you get wrecked in Spain? Don't spoil, chat. This feels like a TV show where I always wonder what happens next.
Under the pretext of guarding Spain against the British, French troops took up strategic positions around the country. The Spanish people saw the French military presence as the latest in a long line of humiliations, and held Chief Minister Manuel Godoy responsible. There were riots at the palace of Aranjuez. Godoy was nearly lynched. Napoleon invited the Spanish royal family and Godoy to take refuge in the French city of Bayonne, and sent Marshal Murat and 50,000 troops to restore order in Madrid. But on the 2nd of May 1808, the people of Madrid rose up against Murat's soldiers. It became known as the 2 de Mayo uprising, immortalized by the artist Francisco Goya. This scene shows Mamelukes of Napoleon's Imperial Guard attacked by the citizens of Madrid. 100 soldiers were killed. The French responded ruthlessly, shooting down dozens in the streets and executing more than 100 by firing squad.
Siesta is over.
Meanwhile, in Bayonne, Napoleon forced King Carlos to abdicate and bestowed the title King of Spain on his own brother, Joseph.
How many fucking brothers does this guy have? He's like old school Turk. Who is the enemy of your happiness? Napoleon, Emperor of the French. What is Napoleon's origins? From evil. Whoa, roasted. So he beats the Prussians, he beats the Russians, he beats the Austrians, and now a bunch of fucking Spanish peasants are his downfall? What?
That summer, as Napoleon forced a new modernizing constitution on Spain, and his brother Joseph entered Madrid as its new king, the Spanish reacted with fury. The French weren't just arrogant foreigners trampling on their national honor. They were godless atheists.
It's the first time you see guerrilla warfare, asymmetric warfare.
Catholic Church. Napoleon, priests warned the peasants, was the very Antichrist himself.
Oh shit.
Revolts erupted across the country.
Oh shit.
The Spanish army was joined by militias and partisans who attacked French troops and killed collaborators. French soldiers carried out savage reprisals. No mercy was shown. The countless atrocities horrified Francisco Goya and led to his famous Disasters of War series.
Wow, it's like he's like a war journalist, one of the first in a way, huh? Damn. It's a holiday in Madrid because the uprising against Napoleon. Why is Spain always so unstable? Thank you, Dirk, my man. Thank you. We are lucky to have people like Goya, huh?
It seemed the French would easily put down the revolt. Girona, Valencia, and Zaragoza.
Thank you, Martin Skywalker. Thank you.
Troops, while the Spanish army of Galicia was routed by Marshal Bessières at the Battle of Medina del Rio Seco. But 8 days later, as General
paintings are now in a
Dupont
museum in
and
Madrid.
3 French divisions withdrew from Córdoba, slowed down by wagons piled high with loot, they were surrounded at Bailén.
Iberia was Europe's Vietnam. Even Muslims can't control it back then.
Army of Andalusia and forced to surrender. The Spanish took 18,000 French prisoners, about half of whom later died of starvation.
Oh.
Bailén was a humiliation for France.
Jesus.
Her first major defeat since Napoleon became emperor.
It seems like countries like this, Vietnam, Spain, you just retreat back to the border. Go back to the border, then let the country eat itself. Like they can't make a constitution, they can't make a government, right? And then you slowly go back in. You have to run away from the chaos, go home at the front line, watch it from afar, and then slowly go back in.
France's enemies across Europe were delighted. Napoleon was incandescent with fury. The situation went from bad to worse. The Portuguese joined the revolt, while fierce Spanish resistance forced the French to abandon the sieges of Valencia, Girona, and Zaragoza. Spain's new king, Joseph Bonaparte, was even forced to flee the capital. The British assisted the...
Probably a really big mistake. You should have actually installed a Spanish king. A Spanish guy with a Spanish name and Spanish roots that you can control.
Revolt, which
the flags were so cool back then, huh? Now we all have really shit flags.
By shipping weapons to Spain using the Royal Navy. On the 1st of August, a small British army commanded by Sir Arthur Wellesley landed in Portugal to aid their revolt. On the 17th of August, he beat a small French force at Rolissa. Then, 4 days later, beat Junot's main army at the Battle of Vimero. But Wellesley's newly arrived superior, Sir Hugh Dalrymple, then agreed to repatriate Junot and his army to France, with all their arms and plunder, using British ships. In Britain, the generous terms were seen as a disgrace and scandal. A subsequent inquiry exonerated Wellesley, the future Duke of Wellington, but Dalrymple never held command again.
I see so many parallels to Hitler.
Napoleon decided the only way to sort out the situation in Spain was to go there himself. He assembled 130,000 reinforcements, including many of his best troops.
How do you lose that? Imagine when you're chilling on your farm, you went to so much war, you have all your kids and your wife, and you're chilling at the river, you're baking some bread, and then... We're calling you again to fight for the Emperor! And he probably was like, oh, let's go, I'm kind of hyped.
November
Let's do it.
Led a second invasion of Spain. Most Spanish troops were inexperienced, were often badly equipped and led, and their armies had no coherent strategy. They were no match for the Grande Armée, which burst across the Ebro River and inflicted heavy defeats on the Spanish at Burgos and Tudela. At Tudela,
they were fighting for a Spanish holiday.
Corps avenged the defeat at Bailén by smashing the army of General Castaños, sending it fleeing in 2 directions. Wow. Napoleon pushed on rapidly. North of Madrid, 8,000 Spanish held the mountain pass at Somosierra. Napoleon, impatient to break through to the capital, ordered forward the Polish Light Horse of the Guard. In an attack of almost suicidal bravery, they charged the Spanish guns head-on and enabled the French...
It's like Napoleon forgot all his techniques and now it's just charge, just go in. I always win anyway, just charge, man.
Take the pass. 4 days later, after Napoleon threatened to obliterate the city. Madrid opened its gates to his army.
That's you and Bannerlord?
Unaware of the disaster engulfing Spanish forces, a 20,000-strong British army, commanded by Sir John Moore, had just arrived in Salamanca after a 300-mile march from Lisbon, with another smaller force en route from Corunna. The British army was inexperienced, but in contrast to most Spanish forces, it was well-trained, organised, and led. As news reached Moore of the Spanish collapse, he nevertheless planned to divert French forces by attacking Marshal Soult's isolated Second Corps and threatening Napoleon's communications to Burgos and France. At Saguin on the 21st of December, the British 15th Hussars advanced overnight through winter frost and made a dawn attack on a French cavalry brigade, routing it in one great charge.
These fucking
but
cav
as Moore
charges.
prepared a full-scale attack on Soult's corps, he received news that Napoleon was advancing rapidly towards him with his main army from Madrid.
I am pursuing the English. Sortez de kidneys. The Battle of Waterloo is in like 7 years, man. He still has so much time left.
While two French corps under Marshal Lannes began a second bloody siege of Zaragoza, Napoleon saw a chance to get to grips with the British at last. Intending to trap Moore between his own forces and Soult's Second Corps, he force-marched his troops over the icy Guadarrama Pass in the midst of a blizzard.
No, Tommy,
Moore,
no.
facing odds of more than 2 to 1, immediately ordered a retreat,
Clever.
planning to march 250 miles to the coast, where his army could be evacuated by the Royal Navy. For both sides, the race to the sea...
In 45 days, the Ukraine war is longer than World War I. Whoa, that's actually fucking interesting. Damn. Damn.
was an exhausting slog through mountains, mud, and bitter cold. Many fell by the wayside as British discipline collapsed, leading to looting and drunkenness, except among the rearguard, which fought several skillful delaying actions and kept the French at bay. Soldiers of Britain's elite 95th Rifles were prominent in these skirmishes. This specialized light infantry regiment wore green uniforms for better concealment and were one of the few units on any side armed with rifles. Unlike the standard smoothbore musket, rifles had spiral grooves in the barrel that spun the bullet as it was fired, making them slower to load, but much more accurate.
That is so interesting, huh?
One legendary incident during Moore's retreat at Cacabelos, rifleman Tom Plunkett picked out and shot dead a French general at 400 yards.
Wow.
Some say further. Thanks to the skill of the rearguard and the desperate pace of the retreat, the British...
Yeah, rifling when they have that thing inside the thing, right?
On New Year's Eve, Napoleon received grave news from Paris. Rumours of plots, and Austria mobilizing once more for war.
That's the problem of emperors and autocrats and dictators. You never have a free moment, man. There's always some kind of stress coming for your ass.
Many of his best
the ghost of
troops
Cacabelos.
entrusted Marshal Soult and Second Corps with finishing off the British. The pursuit continued, but on the 11th of January,
Sean Bean had a TV show where he was a rifleman in this
Moore's
war.
ragged army reached Corunna.
Did he die?
For Sir John Moore's exhausted army, the Spanish port meant supplies, rest, and the prospect of rescue. But few ships were there to meet them on the 11th. Fortunately, the British had been able to blow up bridges behind them to delay Marshal Soult's advance. And 3 days later, on the 14th of January, the naval transports arrived, allowing Moore to begin embarking his cavalry and artillery. But the very next day, Soult's army appeared on the hills south of Corunna, taking up positions on the heights of Peñasquedo, where he sighted his main battery of cannon. Half of Moore's army deployed in a defensive line 2 miles south of the city, with 2 divisions held back
Dunkirk.
to protect his right flank. Both armies were roughly 16,000 strong. The French had 4 regiments of dragoons, while the British cavalry was already aboard ship. But the broken terrain of walls, hedges and olive trees made it a battlefield ill-suited to cavalry. Soult's plan was to attack the British right flank and trap Moore's army against the sea. Around 2 p.m, the French artillery opened fire. Then Mermet's infantry division advanced, supported by La Houssaye's dragoons on his left. Moore had been unsure if Soult would attack, and had just ordered Paget's division to begin embarkation. Now he hurriedly cancelled that order, ordering Paget instead to bring up his men to reinforce his open flank, and Fraser's division to take up position on the heights of Santa Margarita. The French advanced through hedges and over walls, with heavy firing from skirmishers on both sides. Then the British counterattacked. The 42nd Highlanders and 50th Foot charged into the village of Elvina and drove the French out. But in confused fighting, they in turn were soon pushed back to their own lines. Sir John Moore was close to the front line, observing developments, urging on officers and men. But as he ordered up the Guards Brigade to reinforce the line, he was hit in the shoulder by a cannonball. He remained conscious, but it was obvious the wound was fatal, and he was carried back to the city.
Ouch!
Soult sent forward Merle's division to support the attack on Elvina.
It's kind of the first time they really fight the British, huh?
Hope had taken over command of the British army from the dying Moore, and he ordered forward 2 battalions of infantry to meet the French attack. Paget's division, led by skirmishers of the 95th Rifles, arrived to shore up the British right flank. The terrain was so bad for horses that French dragoons chose to dismount and fight on foot, but were slowly pushed back by the British. Paget's advance threatened the flank of Mermet's attack on Elvina, and he too was forced to withdraw, while an attack on the right by Delabord's infantry secured a foothold in the village of Piedralonga, but got bogged down in heavy skirmishing. Around 6 p.m,
everywhere Napoleon is not, it's not going so well. It's like when I scream team in Dota.
News that the British line had held reached Moore shortly before he died in Corunna, around 8 p.m. That night, the British lit campfires and posted sentries, then silently withdrew to Corunna to begin embarkation.
Clever.
The next morning, the French found the enemy positions abandoned.
Clever, clever.
But they were slow to take advantage. It wasn't until noon that they were able to bring up 6 cannon and get them into position overlooking the Bay of Corunna. The British had almost completed their evacuation by the time the French guns opened fire. In a hurried departure, a few British transports ran aground, and 2 were set on fire.
Oh shit.
But overall, losses were light. A small Spanish garrison.
Did nobody watch them during tonight? Yeah, it feels like it's so important in warfare to have scouts everywhere. To have little scout squads everywhere, man.
The fleet had escaped to sea.
But it was probably too dark, you probably still can't see shit. I hope the people of England will be satisfied. I hope my country will do me justice. Back then, everybody was fighting for their country. Now everybody hates their own country, bro.
Was a British disaster, or
they need reconnaissance armored cars.
Still debated. And did he abandon Spain in its hour of need, or draw off Napoleon's main force, buying time for others? Either way, Britain's only army had been saved.
He now has a university named after him.
Day. while Napoleon now faced the prospect of a long war on the Iberian Peninsula and renewed conflict with Austria, a war on two fronts that would challenge
Bro,
his
he can't
empire
catch a
like
break.
never before.
It's funny how the Ottomans don't do shit during this entire time. The Ottomans are just there.
An epic
After this, it's
History
like 2 more
TV
seasons or what?
History March collaboration, supported
finish
by
the
our
season. Let's
sponsor,
finish the season.
Osprey Publishing.
I'm honestly a bit happy about reacting today because I'm a bit sick. I don't feel too good, so reacting is kind of nice.
In 1809, France, under Napoleon Bonaparte, was the most powerful
And
nation
then I guess we
in
EU
Europe.
4 a bit, yeah. And then
But
Zomboid
the French Emperor's
is crazy
invasion
right
of
now.
Spain and Portugal
And
grew
liars
unexpected.
get banned.
And with many of Napoleon's best troops and commanders now tied
I'm still playing
down
you for
in
England,
Spain,
but it feels a bit too easy.
an old enemy prepared to challenge France once more.
The mod is called the Ark. It's insane. It's insane. Vienna is not behaving.
Austria had been preparing for war with France since her last humiliating defeat at Austerlitz in 1805.
We can keep playing
Now,
you, no
with
problem.
Napoleon busy in Spain,
I predict nights from
and
my
a
cancelled.
British
Colby, I'm sick, man, you hässlichen Ficker, man!
promise of cash subsidies, plus a supporting attack in Northern Europe, it looked like the ideal time to strike. This time, Austria's armies would be led by Archduke Charles,
What, weren't they just destroyed like 4 years ago? Yet they can muster another army already.
Emperor Francis's younger brother. At 37, he was 2 years younger than Napoleon, but already had 15 years' experience of high command. And he was learning from past defeats. He'd begun to reform the Austrian army along French lines.
They have kind of fucking Minecraft heads. That is not a good painter. Whoever painted this, no hate. What the fuck are these faces?
Copying
Jesus
Napoleon's
Christ.
core system and introducing new infantry tactics.
A quick guide to Napoleon infantry tactics.
In the Napoleonic Wars, infantry fought in close order, packed together, standing shoulder to shoulder. But why present such an easy target for the enemy? First, command and control. Before radios, orders had to be relayed by shouted commands, drums or bugles. Difficult enough in the smoke and din of battle. Almost impossible if troops were scattered.
Skip this, I'm going to skip you in a second.
Firepower. Smoothbore muskets were inaccurate beyond about 80 yards, so volley fire, firing en masse, was the best way to inflict physical and psychological damage on the enemy. Third, morale. Soldiers were much more willing to advance into danger or hold the line if they did so together as a unit, urging each other on. Fourth, defense against cavalry. Scattered infantry were easy targets for horsemen. Only by sticking together could they fight them off. The basic tactical unit of infantry was the battalion. A
saw this?
French
Yeah,
line
but watch it
battalion
again.
had, in theory, 840 men, but in practice, near a
Dude, how fucking sick were flags back then, huh? And now, everything's going to shit, right?
5 to 600. Our example here
Who
has
won $1 to giveaway? It's on
605
Thursday.
men, a typical strength for a battalion on campaign. The men were divided into 6
Play War of Rights, but do it off stream. Congratulations, being a dumber retard than Vamonos Hermanos, man. That's a very big feat in this channel. Good job.
companies, 4 fusilier companies, and 2 flank companies. On the right, the grenadiers, made up of the tallest, strongest men, often detached to form elite all-grenadier units. And on the left, the voltigeurs, specialist light infantry, used for skirmishing in front of the battalion. Skirmishers moved independently, used cover, and fired at will to harass and unsettle the enemy, while preventing enemy skirmishers carrying out the same task. Most armies also had specialist light infantry units for this role, such as the British 95th Rifles, French Chasseurs à Pied, and Austrian and Prussian Jaeger battalions. The traditional battlefield formation was the line, all companies formed up alongside each other, 3 ranks deep. Line formation maximized the number of men who could fire their muskets at the enemy, and limited casualties from artillery fire. But it was extremely vulnerable to cavalry if it could be outflanked. And even for well-drilled troops, it was difficult to keep the line straight while advancing across broken ground. So for manoeuvre and attack, battalions usually formed a column of divisions. This was a more flexible formation that allowed the battalion to advance quickly, though it presented a larger target to enemy guns, firing solid round shot that would tear through several ranks, and far fewer men could fire their muskets at the enemy. Theoretically, therefore, the battalion would deploy into line before reaching the enemy. But carrying out this slow manoeuvre under fire wasn't always possible or sensible. So some commanders kept their men in column, relying on momentum to break the enemy line. This was a risky tactic that often worked against raw troops, but led to high casualties when facing better trained infantry, like British redcoats. A column could be closed up quickly to provide protection from cavalry, or if there was time, could form a square. With bayonets fixed, the battalion formed an all-round defence that often resembled more of a rectangle. Enemy cavalry could surround the battalion, but not break in, as horses won't charge a solid wall of men.
Yes, we already saw this. How many times do you want to fucking say that, man?
An infantry square was
Fresse.
extremely vulnerable to artillery fire, and could only move very slowly. Changing quickly and smoothly from one formation to another, especially under fire, required training, practice, and experience. In 1809, the Austrian army began to use the battalion mass formation, crude but more suited to hastily trained conscripts. This was a dense column with limited firepower and huge vulnerability to enemy cannon. But it could quickly
nice reaction.
close up to
I'm gonna add a lot to your mod
cavalry,
tonight.
using the same
Miller
principle
Peshek.
as the square, but without the complex drill, and was much more manoeuvrable. Napoleon, warned by his spies that Austria was preparing for war, left Spain and raced back to Paris,
So Spain wasn't
arriving
even that
on the
bad.
24th of January, 1809.
These fucking Austrians, man.
The French army in Germany, commanded by Marshal
many times
Berthier,
will get fucked
would
up?
need urgent reinforcement. So Napoleon summoned units from Spain, called up young conscripts, and soldiers from his German allies, the Confederation of the Rhine. La Grande Armée was no longer the finely honed instrument of 1805, but with Napoleon at its head, it was still a formidable force. Archduke Charles ordered diversionary attacks in Poland and northern Italy, but launched his main attack against France's ally, Bavaria, on the 10th of April. It came a week earlier than Napoleon had expected, and caught the French Emperor by surprise. Charles was relying on a rapid advance, but a last-minute change of plans, torrential rain, and a slow-moving baggage train slowed progress to a crawl. Marshal Berthier was a brilliant chief of staff to Napoleon, but an indecisive field commander. His forces were too widely dispersed, and Marshal Davout's Third Corps was dangerously isolated at Regensburg.
It's Davout, though. He can only win.
Charles ordered his corps to converge and destroy it. But on the 17th of April,
Not gonna happen.
Napoleon arrived at Donauwörth to take over command. He immediately ordered Davout to withdraw from his exposed position. It was too late for him to escape without a fight.
Yes, they walked everything on their legs, right? And if you look at all these videos, it was just walking. These people walked, dude. Their phone must have gone, dude, you did 10,000 steps the whole time. I wonder what the average guy in this era was walking compared to us now. They're just walking all day.
Davout's Third
A very important part of an army must have been cobblers. Shoemakers must have been so amazing.
Corps was one of
And
the
they even
best
carried
of the
40
Grande
kilograms?
Armée, and in a fast-moving battle,
I remember when I was in
across
the army, it was mostly marching. The first 3 months of training was just marching. How to march in order. Marching, man. That was like the army in the beginning.
The heroes of
Nothing
Auschwitz
else.
threw back the Austrians. Despite the heroism of General Major Liechtenstein, badly wounded, leading his troops forward.
Must have really nice calves.
Third Corps escaped the encirclement. The Battle of Teugn-Hausen was the start of Napoleon's so-called four-day campaign. First, he used Marshal
Sounds like something Israel
Lefebvre's
would do.
Bavarian 7th Corps and a provisional corps under Marshal Lannes to drive a wedge into the Austrian army. Then he pursued its left wing towards Landshut, believing he was following the main Austrian army. French troops and their German allies stormed the town's bridge to win a hard-fought victory. But Napoleon realized that Archduke Charles was not at Landshut, and that, once again, he'd left Marshal Davout to face the main enemy force.
That was like the carry in this
Sending
team, bro.
Marshal Bessières in pursuit of the Austrian left wing, Napoleon swung north, falling on the Austrian 4th Corps at Eckmühl. The French and their German allies won their 4th victory in as many...
A battlefield game in the Napoleonic Wars would be nice. A real battlefield game, like not with the bionic arms and shit. Like a real... That'd be cool, man. Massive servers, 200 versus 200.
Main force was still intact.
If you play solo, you really get fucked up over it and shit. Kind of force the players to come together.
He ordered a rapid retreat across the Danube. The French pursued.
No, better than Holdfast. Holdfast is such a meme game.
Regensburg, which they knew as Ratisbon, with its vital stone bridge. Napoleon put Marshal Lannes in charge of the assault. When the attack faltered, Lannes threatened to lead the next charge in person, and his men, suitably chastised, took the city. During the siege, Napoleon was hit in the foot by a spent bullet, causing widespread alarm. But it proved to be a superficial wound.
He actually got wounded for once.
Stubborn Austrian resistance had allowed Archduke Charles and his army to escape across the Danube. Napoleon had cut the Austrian army in half.
They barely even fought. Nothing. He just keeps winning. There wasn't even like a big battle.
But both sections now retreated.
All these videos, I feel like Austria has a minus 50% damage debuff. They just suck. They suck.
Napoleon led his forces in pursuit, detaching
Austria just stay in Vienna.
Bavarian Corps to deal with a popular revolt in Tyrol, and 3rd Corps and the Württemberg 8th Corps to guard his line of communications. Charles chose not to defend the capital, which surrendered on the 13th of May after a short bombardment. Instead, Charles and the Austrian army lay in wait across the Danube. Napoleon was now down to 80,000 men, facing 110,000 Austrians. Charles's army had fought bravely and well throughout the campaign.
Did they?
But Napoleon still had a low opinion of Austrian troops.
Me too.
To attack.
Okay, here we go. To cannon, all men are equal. The quote maker, man.
On the night of the 20th of May, French engineers hastily built a series of floating bridges between the river islands of the Danube.
Play Austrian EU4? That sounds actually fun. EU4 interests me a lot lately, dude.
By noon the next day, Napoleon had most of Massena's 4th Corps and his cavalry across the river. About 24,000 men and 40 guns.
Play Austria later? I love EU4, but I don't know if I want to return to the UK. It is too easy. And I think there's a big progress in this channel. TommyKay officially stopped caring about achievements. Old Tommy be like, we're gonna play the UK until I have the achievement. Fuck it. Fuck it. EU5 is more fun.
The villages of Aspern and Essling. Napoleon expected the Austrians to retreat once more.
An Austria game could be sick, man.
Face a rear guard. But reports soon arrived that the entire Austrian army was advancing against him.
I don't want to play Austria since they're such
attack columns,
pussies.
90,000 men and 300 cannon. The situation got even worse. The Austrians began to float heavy barges and obstacles downriver to smash through the flimsy French bridge. Each time, Napoleon's only supply route was cut off for several hours, causing critical delays to the arrival of reinforcements and ammunition. The battle began around 2:45 p.m. as
Now
infantry
Napoleon
of
is
the
the one
Austrian
behind,
first
in
column
front of the river.
attacked Aspern. The village was soon under attack from 3 sides. General Molitor's French garrison clung on desperately, fighting hand-to-hand in the streets and suffering 50% casualties. To support the defenders of Aspern, Napoleon ordered cavalry to charge the Austrian third column. But they could not break through the Austrian
Now these videos is just people dying and cavalry charges.
infantry.
It's just straight up fucking going in like a maniac.
Formation. At 6 p.m, Archduke Charles ordered General Bellegarde's second column to take Aspern at any cost. Charles himself rode among the front ranks, urging the men forward. In ferocious fighting, the Austrians took the village. Napoleon immediately sent in newly arrived reinforcements to recapture it. About
Napoleon,
the
man,
same
this doesn't look
time,
good.
The Austrian 4th Column began its attack on the village of Essling, where Marshal Lannes had taken charge of defences while he waited for his own corps to cross the Danube. The first Austrian assault was repulsed. The veteran French cavalry commander, General
I'm starting to feel a bit exhausted. It's just battle after battle, death,
led his cuirassiers
I'm getting a
in
bit
pursuit, but was hit by grape shot and died of his wounds.
It's up. We're gonna finish the season. We're gonna finish the season.
Around 9 p.m, the
It's like
Austrian
poker,
5th
fold,
Column
all in.
finally arrived in position and made its first attack against Essling, which was thrown back.
The battles
by
are much
Lannes'
more
troops.
just frontline murder.
As night
now.
fell, firing died out across the battlefield, and men got what rest they could among the dead and the wounded.
Imagine you're a veteran of Egypt here, man. You have seen so much death and destruction.
Overnight, 2nd Corps and the Imperial Guard crossed the Danube to reinforce Napoleon's army, which now numbered 71,000 and 150 guns. But then the bridge broke again, leaving Davout's 3rd Corps still
Davout
waiting
is
to
always
cross.
alone, bro. He reminds me of me in
Napoleon
Dota.
decided to attack, using 2nd Corps to break the Austrian centre. But first, Aspern would have to be retaken. Heavy fighting broke out in the village before dawn. By 7 a.m, it was back in French hands. At Essling, fresh Austrian attacks were fought off by General Lassalle's cavalry and units of the Young Guard. With both flanks secure, Napoleon launched his main attack in the centre,
A charge.
with Lannes' 2nd Corps.
Charge,
Austrian
charge.
guns poured fire into the advancing
You're
French
charging
ranks.
cannons now. Napoleon, you're getting a bit washed, buddy. You should probably start reaction content.
The hero of Austerlitz and Jena had his foot blown off, a wound that proved fatal.
Oh shit.
Archduke Charles sent his Grenadier Reserve forward to strengthen the line. The French infantry, under torrential fire, began to fall back.
Oh, the charge didn't work? Crazy. Back in the day, you used to flank with bridges.
The French
Old Napoleon would go up here and look for a
bridge
bridge,
over
man.
the Danube was broken again,
Oh,
Have my
fuck.
time, you sexy
halting
beast.
the
Thank you,
vital
brother.
flow of
Finally someone
reinforcements and
priming.
ammunition to
Finally.
Napoleon's army. By 2 p.m, the French had been driven out of Aspern once more. Heavy fighting
I'm getting a bit
continued
disappointed in
Essling,
Napoleon.
which was briefly captured by the Austrians, then retaken by the Young.
And once again, as we look at this whole story, I see big parallels to Hitler. Beginning, army guy, winning and winning and winning and taking over in a coup, and then getting weaker and weaker and weaker and slowly falling down.
Napoleon knew his army could do no more. At 4 p.m, he ordered his exhausted cavalry to make a last charge to keep the enemy at bay, then gave the order to retreat. Archduke Charles, whose own army had suffered huge losses and was low on ammunition, was content to watch the French withdraw to the island of Lobau. In the
that
final
didn't really
moments
work, huh?
of the battle, Marshal Lannes, one of Napoleon's finest commanders and closest friends, was hit by a cannonball that smashed both his legs. He died of his wounds a week later. It was a deep blow to the Emperor.
What a loss for France and for me. I mean, you were fucking fighting with a river behind you, bro. Bro's losing rating right now.
The Battle of Aspern-Essling was Napoleon's first major defeat, caused by his overconfidence and hasty planning. Both sides suffered heavy losses, and Napoleon avoided a much greater disaster
They're all just
only
dying
because of the exhaustion of the Austrian army.
A lot of legless people walking around lately.
New respect for the Austrians. Under Archduke Charles, they had fought bravely, with greater confidence, organization, and leadership. Within days of his defeat, Napoleon had summoned reinforcements to join him on the Danube, and begun planning his revenge. If you'd like to learn more,
okay, and last video and we finished the season. Last video and we finished the season.
An epic
then I don't know. I guess EU4 England.
History TV,
I think
History
so.
March collaboration. In May,
unfortunately, I'm a very toxic human being, and I can't just enjoy something that feels easy. Like the UK EU4 feels easy right now. We could just get the achievements real quick, but I don't know.
In the bloody Battle of Aspern, his enemies took heart. After
people are saying Austria's too easy
military dominance, it seemed the tide was turning at last.
There's no fun and easy.
3 weeks later, Pope Pius VII.
1.3k viewers. I should just watch videos all day, man. Most successful channel ever, man. What the fuck?
Excommunicated
I shall just keep watching videos.
For annexing papal land. Another propaganda coup for his enemies.
I already made the difficulty on hard.
But in the wake of its victory, Austria hesitated, not sure whether to seek peace or continue the war, while Napoleon responded with a hurricane of activity. He summoned reinforcements to join him near Vienna, the Army of Italy under his stepson Eugène de Beauharnais, and 11th Corps under Marshal Marmont, who'd together driven Archduke John's Austrian army out of North Italy, as well as Marshal
Zomboid tonight, Zomboid is a night stream,
Corps.
Because it's so horror.
Napoleon's army grew from 90,000 to a massive 164,000 men.
That's a lot of fucking dudes, man.
To take on Charles's army of 128,000 and 414 guns. 6 weeks after his first attempt had ended in defeat, Napoleon ordered his army to cross the river once more.
Today, Lisa just told me that in 7 days, I go on vacation for 7 days. I'm gonna be gone for 7 days. And I was very shocked, like, what? No streams? 7 days? Vacation?
This time, his engineers had built solid bridges across the
And then I stream 2 weeks, and then there's another vacation.
No repeat of the
7 days.
of Aspern.
And then next month after that, baby born.
Army,
the stream is cooked, man. This is like the last...
no longer exists.
The last weeks we have together, boys.
The stage was set.
Soon it's all over.
The largest battle yet seen in European history. If you think our Napoleon series has made you a master of tactics and strategy, put your skills to the test in Vikings War of Clans, generous sponsors of this video. Napoleon's rules of concentration of force and decisive action will serve you well as you battle for dominance alongside up to 3 million other users in a single event.
No way 3 million,
this
fuck
is highly
off.
Addictive military and
where are you going?
Hots.
Hots.
Caters for many
Can't explain that. Hots. And then another vacation 2 weeks later, Czech Republic. It's the last vacations before baby, because we know when the baby is out, we're just fucked.
Berserker Blitzkrieg before the enemy knows you're coming. Use the link in the video description to download Vikings for free, support the channel, and get a special bonus of 200 gold coins and a protective shield that may just save your life. Thanks again to Vikings War of Clans for supporting this video.
Trutnov, I think it's called. In the middle of the forest, no internet.
On the evening of the 4th of July,
that's a lot of dudes, man.
The French began crossing from the island of Lobau.
What's the plan for vacation? Lisa decides that. I have no idea. I don't like vacations, but I also do like vacations. I hate vacations, but once I'm there, I like them. Because to me, the great thing about vacation is, I don't even care about leisure. I don't want leisure. I just want to stream every day. But the good thing about vacations is, I have genuinely time to just chill with Lisa and the kid. I focus on them all day, nothing else, and that's really nice. I like that.
Which was soon ablaze from French shells. Archduke Charles had left only a small advance guard to delay the French.
Trutnov. The thing about the KCD2 castles.
And Oudinot's 2nd Corps were driving those troops back, winning space for the French army to deploy.
Now you take the right to have more space.
At 1 p.m., Napoleon was ready to begin his advance across 6 miles of flat cornfields towards the main Austrian position.
Wow, that's a big battle.
An escarpment known as the Wagram, 100 meters behind the Rust.
But again, every video, it's a one-on-one. There's never anyone else involved. There's no allies. Then later, once they finally do unite their forces in the Battle of Nations, shit fucking turns finally.
Light cavalry
Thank you, Wagram.
And Massena's 4th Corps swung left to guard the flank. Oudinot's 2nd Corps and Davout's 3rd Corps advanced towards the Wagram. Bernadotte's Saxon Corps and Eugene's Army of Italy filled the center. At 6 p.m., unsure of the enemy's strength, Napoleon ordered a full-scale assault against the Wagram Plateau.
Nice river, though.
But his troops met determined Austrian resistance.
So you're attacking a river. Oh, they just walk over the river now, okay.
The Saxon 9th Corps had pushed into the village of Deutsch Wagram. The Saxon infantry wore white uniforms, like the Austrians, and as darkness fell, were mistaken for the enemy.
Oh, you fucking morons.
By friendly units. The Saxons.
That's kind of on you, man. That's on you, people. Oh my god.
Napoleon's attempt at a quick breakthrough had failed.
He just charges now. There's no more tactics. It's just charge, charge, charge.
While Charles and Napoleon planned their next moves.
Where will I charge next? Battle of Wagram. How many goddamn battles did Napoleon be part of?
Napoleon planned for Davout's 3rd Corps to lead the attack, rolling up the Austrian flank, while his other corps pinned down the enemy with local attacks. But to the Emperor's fury, he learned that overnight, without orders, Marshal Bernadotte had withdrawn his battered Saxons from Aderklaa, which the Austrians now...
Is that the guy that was once close to a court-martial order because he's so shit?
Aderklaa was a crucial strongpoint in the center of the battlefield. Napoleon gave orders for its immediate recapture. But the French and Saxon attack failed.
Made him king of Sweden later.
Heavy losses. The Austrians had their own problems. Archduke Charles, knowing he faced a superior enemy, had decided his only chance of victory lay in an all-out dawn attack. He was relying on his brother.
Sir, we have to think about tactics here. We're outnumbered, outgunned. What do we do? Do we do some crazy moves? Or should we retreat? What should we do?
I think we should charge. I think we're going with an all-out attack, guys.
Archduke John reaching him with
impressive, sir. Great tactics. Good job.
In time to support the attack.
Let's go, John. Let's charge.
But by dawn, there was still no sign of him.
The House of Bernadotte still rules in Sweden. I always see it in the grocery store. I see these royal magazines, which are so cringe. What are they called? Imagine having a royal family. That's so fucking cringe, dude. All these people. They're actually still the Bernadottes. Wow. Swedish people, your royals are Frenchies? You fucking idiots? You let French people rule you? Yeah, these people are always in my... There's these magazines about them. What is she eating lately? Jesus. That's why I'm a bit of a fucking Jakobiner, man. Down with the royals, man. What the fuck?
As 4th Corps began its assault on Grosshofen, on time. 3rd Corps, which had received its orders late, was still getting into position, holding up the entire Austrian right wing. Charles had to tell 4th Corps to abort its unsupported attack until the other corps were ready.
They're descendants of a Napoleon general. Oh, no fucking shit, Alter. That's a fucking band, you hässlicher Spast, Alter. Fuck you, Murdoch. And everything you represent in this life. 10 minutes.
With the
Should write a note about you that you're dumb retard.
At 10 a.m.,
fully deserved, exactly.
Attack. A fierce infantry battle
Markgraf
in the
Neusiedl.
village of Markgraf Neusiedl.
Markgraf Neusiedl.
Dragoons and hussars fought a giant whirling cavalry battle. As each
a
side
cavalry
tried
charge.
to
Haven't seen that in a
outflank
while.
the other. Davout's corps took the village. though they couldn't stop the Austrians withdrawing.
Dude, just send
to a
Davout
strong
everywhere.
new
He will just carry.
on the Wagram escarpment. Meanwhile, a serious threat had developed to Napoleon's left flank and rear. Klenau's 6th Corps had driven back the outnumbered French, with some units advancing as far as Essling, dangerously close to Napoleon's vital river crossings. Napoleon urgently
destroy the
needed
bridges!
to reinforce
Try
his
to
left
destroy the
flank,
bridges, man.
but he was also
Okay.
determined to hold back his reserves for a decisive attack. So he ordered Massena's 4th Corps to march across the battlefield and reinforce the left. A huge redeployment like this, right in front of the enemy, was high risk. So Marshal Bessières was ordered to lead a cavalry attack straight against the enemy centre.
A cavalry charge. Man, Napoleon's tactics are becoming really the meta of the future here.
Casualties were high.
No shit.
Even Marshal
It's all
Bessières
repeating now,
had his
right?
horse
Cavalry
killed
charge,
under
everyone
him,
dies.
to the alarm of his men. But the enemy was kept busy, while 4th Corps completed its redeployment and forced Klenau's corps to fall back.
Shut up, you said that. Any trooper who isn't dead by 30 is a coward, and I don't anticipate exceeding that length of time. What a fucking moron. What a piece of shit. You're only cool if you die before 30. What a fucking idiot. Died at 33. What a fucking idiot. Dies at 33.
Napoleon now assembled a
Have you
grand...
heard of humanities? Like the modern and updated Project Zomboid.
We know it. It's
better
not done.
graphics,
It is
crafting.
not finished.
I
It's
think
early
you'd
access.
like
It's
it.
not good yet. Thank you, Maka. I am informed of that. That is not really ready yet. Needs a bit more
battery
patches.
of
Thank you for
more
the
than
5.
80 cannon in the centre of the battlefield. This was one of Napoleon's trademark tactics, the concentration of artillery to blast the enemy line and pave the way for a decisive French attack. The Grand Battery fired an estimated 15,000 rounds, setting light to the cornfields. Around 1
Thank you,
p.m.,
Gold.
Napoleon ordered a general attack. As Davout continued to batter at the enemy flank, 4th Corps
God
would
damn.
advance on the left.
I'm happy this is
Second
over in
Corps
a segment.
on
This
the
is getting
right.
exhausting. It's
While
just
in the
infinite
centre,
war
General
and battle and
MacDonald
death.
would lead forward 8,000 men of the army of Italy.
I still wonder that
formed
there's
up
any
in a
people left to
giant
fight.
three-sided square to secure his flanks. But despite the terrible French cannonade, Austrian 3rd Corps and Grenadiers of the...
So Napoleon makes a thing called Grand Battery, which shoots 15,000 bullets. And this cavalry is like, yeah, we're gonna just walk past it. We're gonna just walk right past through its line. Don't worry about it. It's called the calf charge. We do this a lot here.
Reserve met the French advance with torrential fire. MacDonald's giant square was cut to pieces, its men mowed down en masse by cannon fire.
No fucking shit.
The attack stalled. But the Austrian army, battered by relentless French attacks, was near breaking point. Every part of the line was under pressure from the French. Archduke Charles, determined above all to keep his army intact, ordered a retreat. The Austrian withdrawal was disciplined and well executed. Napoleon had his victory. But
At this
his
point, he must be
army
bored by
was
that.
also
He's
so
just used to winning
shattered
anyway.
by fatigue and heavy losses, it was unable to launch any effective pursuit.
It's obvious that you were not at Wagram. Napoleon to a minister who mocked the Austrians.
The Battle of Wagram was a brutal slugging match, the biggest and bloodiest battle yet seen in European history.
What? I thought the other ones were.
French victory came at unprecedented cost. An estimated 37,500 casualties
Jesus.
against 41,500 Austrian. 4 days later, French troops caught up with the retreating Austrians at Znaim. As the fighting escalated, Charles knew he could not withstand the French a second time, and asked for a ceasefire. But he had not consulted his older brother, Emperor Francis, who was furious when he heard the news. not least because
Good job,
long-awaited
Austria.
British
That really went
support
well, huh?
was finally on the way. 3 weeks after the Battle of Znaim, the largest amphibious force Britain had ever assembled,
Oh, fuck, the D-Day?
35 ships of the line and 39,000 troops landed at Volcan
Yo,
Island in the
D-Day?
Scheldt estuary.
The TV show is getting
Aim
hype
was
again.
to destroy French shipping and naval stores.
Damn.
But following the successful bombardment and capture of Vlissingen, British commanders let the initiative slip from their grasp. Their force was bottled up by French troops on the marshy Dutch coast, where it was decimated by fever and dysentery.
Oh my god.
About 4,000 died. Many more became permanent invalids. The survivors were evacuated back to England in December.
Good job, Britain. Also really, they're gifting it to Napoleon. Napoleon must just be like, wait, what? They died? We won? Okay. We also won over there? Oh, okay.
Emperor Francis, informed of the British debacle,
Many more became
and persuaded
Twitch
by his
chatters.
generals that Austria couldn't fight on, made peace with Napoleon. In October,
Yeah,
Austria
give it 5
signed
years. Give it 5 years.
the Treaty of Schönbrunn, giving up territory to the French Empire, Bavaria, Saxony,
These are straight up EU4 peace deals.
the Duchy of Warsaw, and Russia. In total, the Austrian Empire was stripped of 3.5 million subjects, forced to pay an indemnity, limit its army to 150,000 men, and join Napoleon's continental system, which meant ending all trade with British ships and merchants.
Good job, Austria.
Archduke Charles, meanwhile, one of Napoleon's more skilled opponents, had fallen out so bitterly with his brother, Emperor Francis, that he never held active command again. Napoleon had won another crushing victory, but there were worrying signs for the French Emperor. His enemies were learning, while he would increasingly
meta's
have
changing.
to rely on
New
young
season starting.
conscripts to fill the gaps left by veterans killed or wounded on campaign. Few could have guessed in 1809, but Napoleon had just fought his last victorious campaign. You can now support epic
Okay,
history.
we finished the whole season, man. Oi, oi, oi. Oh, there's so much more to watch, man.